The race to the finals really heating up, and we're starting to see the cream rise to the top, but it was no different. Those Bulldogs yesterday, Gal, I've got to say, watching them once they clicked into gear, looking everything the premiership force now in that win over Manly.
No, very good. Part of me thinks Lockie Galvin, mid-season transfer, may be the signing of the year. He's been outstanding. He's scored a couple of tries, setting up tries, making line breaks. He's been great, but the Bulldogs were fantastic, particularly defensively, as we know they are. They based their game around their defence and kept the Manly side to very little points. So great win, scored 40-odd points themselves. So, terrific game by the Doggies.
Cam, you must be enjoying watching Lachlan Galvin get more and more comfortable in that playmaking role.
Yeah, well, I spoke last week on the show, Brace, around Lockie and having a bit more time on the training paddock with his Bulldogs teammates. It was always going to take a little bit of time, but a player of his class, and Gus always speaks about his age, and he's only just starting out his career, and we hope it's a long career. But when he gets a bit of time on the paddock, with these teammates and understands the systems and the game plan and what the coach really wants from him, he's starting to look better and better each week. And it's interesting to hear Cam Serraldo and Stephen Crichton after the match talk about how only a couple of days prior to the game, they sat down and spoke about simplifying the game plan. Maybe in the last month they were trying to be a little bit too tricky with the football or a little bit too expansive. They just tried to simplify things so everyone knew and understood their roles. And they did that on the weekend, and they were very impressive.
Coach happy on recovery today, Gus?
Yeah, well, they had a day off today. They've got training tomorrow. But I think the most pleasing thing was the way they stuck at it. The first 55 minutes of that game was really semi-final quality. Manly were really good. It was still only 12-4, and Manly got held up over the line near our post, like on about the 54th minute. It could have made it 12-10. The boys defended that well, but the last 20 minutes, when they got the opportunity, they really took them. And the pleasing part was just how well controlled we were for the first hour to set up the win, and then in the final 20 minutes, how they put them away, and that'll give them a lot of confidence. Our attacks needed a lot of work, and sometimes when you feel like your attack needs a lot of work, you hasten too quickly. You've just got to go step at a time. So they really tore it back this week and made it simplified. And then as the game wore on and they got more confidence and the scoreboard ran in their favour, all of a sudden stuff they had been practising started to come out naturally, which is really how you want it to be. You want it to be muscle memory. You don't want them to think too much about it and just react to the defence, which is what they did. So it was a pleasing win, but still a long way to go.
How's Bronson Cherry's nose?
No good. No good.
The friendly fight, the Viliame kick. If there was a boot that's going to hit you in the face, Viliame's at full flight behind the graphic.
The double. Yeah. The double.
That's a size 16.
I think he's had a bit of work on his nose too,
Yeah, well, now he's had two jobs.
I think he had some very expensive work done on his nose. And
he could have just done that, would have fixed it.
But he was wonderful himself. He's sort of been, because of through the origin period and injuries and different things, he's been playing with a bit of injury for a few weeks. Coach gave him a weekend off last week just to refresh, and he came back and repaid the coach and the team with a tremendous display, particularly defensively, which is where the strength of the Bulldogs is, obviously. So, that's good if they can keep them all fit and well.
But even that try there, Gus, he's up against Tommy Turbo there. He's not up against a young centre or a kid on debut. He's up against one of the best players in the game, and we consider to be fantastic, and beat him all ends up.
Yeah, he's been good, Bronson. He's been getting better and better the whole time. It's only his second year back, and I still think his best is in front of him, so that's great. Unfortunately, out of the game, we've got a very serious injury. So Connor Tracy was rushed to hospital last night. He's been playing the last few weeks with a bit of an abdominal strain. Well, yesterday he virtually busted a gut and ended up in hospital last night with severe abdominal pain. Now, I've never heard of this, an inferior epigastric artery or something or other. He had a large haematoma underneath the muscles there. They were worried that he would need surgery. We're worried about his colon to start with, but apparently it's just the artery. Now, he doesn't need surgery, but he needs 3 weeks complete rest before he can even get back into some light training. We would be hopeful that he's back for the finals, but that's only hopeful at the moment. So it's bad luck for Connor and bad luck for the team, but that's the way it goes.
Next man up.
Yeah, next man up.
All right, well, we wish him all the best with that recovery. When it comes to the ladder, obviously the Doggies are nipping at the Raiders' heels, but it's Canberra, as Cam mentioned earlier before, that they are flying, sitting at the top. You see them sitting pretty. Is it their minor premiership to lose after what you saw, Gal, in that 44-18 win over the Knights?
Yeah, I think so at the moment it is, without a doubt. It's theirs to lose. They're a couple of wins clear, at least one win. They might be 2 wins clear. Actually, they're still haven't had a bye yet, obviously. So I think, it's theirs to lose. I think that Look, down to from 10 and below is gone. I still think the Roosters and the Seagulls are a chance of maybe getting in there, and I still think the top four will change. I think the Warriors will drop out, and the Panthers, the Broncos or the Sharks, one of them will slip in there, I reckon.
We heard earlier Cam said, Gus, that it's 2 top 8 teams. That's the Dolphins and the Panthers that stand in their way in that run of 5 matches plus a bye.
Well, the way the Raiders are going, I don't think it matters who they play, but they do have a good draw and they have got a couple of wins on the rest of the field. And you've got to keep believing your eyes. And every week they just seem to go through phases in games where it's close, and then all of a sudden they put the foot to the accelerator and they just race away from teams. Right from day one, right from the time we saw them in Vegas, I said they are fit and they are fast. And their combinations have just grown throughout the year. They've got utmost confidence in their ability to score points, and they seem to be able to rattle them up in bunches once they get going.
They looked so comfortable yesterday as the match wore on. More on the Raiders a little bit later in the show. Cam, I want to ask you about the elephant in the room on that ladder sitting in 5th. A win and a half outside of the 4, the Panthers, 7 straight. Nathan Cleary had it on a string against the Tigers on Saturday.
Yeah, well, was it a couple of weeks ago? I said that I guarantee you that they'll be in the top 4 come the end of this season. And they'll go on to win another 2, I reckon. They'll win 9 straight, and then they've got the last month is a difficult month for them. They play the Raiders, the Bulldogs, the Storm. So that will challenge them. But the way they're going at the moment, I'll tell you what, and I'll say this again, I've said this many, many times over the last fortnight, the top 4, the current top 4 teams, they will be looking over their shoulder, looking at these guys thinking, how are we going to stop them? Because they are on a roll. Nathan Cleary, he's just, he was busted through the Origin series. Had the disappointment of losing Game 3 with New South Wales, but he's got a point to prove with this footy side. I just can't believe that they are up and about this time of year again. Like early this year, we were thinking, well, time's over for Penrith. Only 2 months ago, fellas, they were sitting bottom of the ladder. It's just incredible the turnaround that they've had. It's remarkable to think that they are a chance of winning 5 consecutive premierships.
Seriously, round 12 or 13, they're last. Yep. Last in the competition, and not just last, but the way they were playing to me, like the basic fundamental errors, the tries that were getting scored against them, we haven't associated that with this Penrith club for the last 5 years. They built it on the back of their defence. And the tries they're letting in were just soft as, but they've turned it around in a hurry, and I think it'll be them, the Broncos or the Sharks will sneak inside the 4. I do think the Warriors will drop out.
So if Nathan stays fit, Gus, is there a point where, and they keep winning, is there a point where they might actually end up being premiership favourites before the finals arrive?
Absolutely. I've been saying for weeks they're the team to beat. They've still got 6 or 7 of the best players in the world in various positions, and they've got a tremendous support staff there as well, and some younger fellas that are really starting to find their feet. When you play with great players, you get better. It's just a matter of time. And where Panthers had a slow start to the season, I've been saying all along, they win 4 or 5 in a row, they'll leapfrog a lot of teams, and then they'll get momentum. They've got through the Origin period, they got through it well. All their stars are fit and well. And when they play to the best of their ability, I'm still saying there is no team in the competition that can match them.
What about Blaze?
It's just going to have to be a long run. It's going to have to be a long run.
Have you been impressed with Blaze Tlungy? Because at the start of the year he was left out the side, but I think he's finding his feet now.
He's finding his feet because all the good players are fit and well and playing well, and then everyone else is starting they've got a great support cast. I mean, even players like Mitch Kenny and Tungor and these sort of fellas, they play their role really well. They're the team to beat, no risk in the world. It's just going to be a long run. They've set themselves a big task because they got so far behind. But, I think in the last few years they've put 16 or 17 together pretty easily. I think they're going to have to win 17 or 16 in a row to win the comp.
Could be something.
They could do it.
Could be something. We're going to talk about the Melbourne Storm a little later in the show. Cam, I want to ask you about the Broncos. 2-point loss to Parramatta in a ripping match on Friday night. Is this a hiccup or a bigger hurdle than we can see right now?
Oh, I think just a hiccup. Look, like you said, Brace, it was a cracking match. And isn't Parramatta, just quickly on Parramatta, aren't they a different side when Mitch Moses is back? He was outstanding on his return. But, I think it was just a little bit of a hiccup for the Broncos. They'd had a pretty good month prior to this. We just see there the skipper, Adam Reynolds, he ran 60 to get this one over. But, I think just a hiccup. They've been up for a month, as I said, month of 5 weeks. And Parramatta come with a pretty good game plan. Been impressed with the improvement of the Eels over the course of this season. They're only going to get better as well, particularly if they can keep their key position players on the field. But Just a one-off for me. I think Broncos will bounce back next week.
The other big loss of the weekend, the top 4 Warriors to the Gold Coast Titans. Gus, what does that mean for the Warriors? Can they hang on to their spot in the 4?
Yeah, of course they can. Look, every team's going to have a loss like that at some stage. The Titans, as we know, have got plenty of talent and can turn it on any time. They did on this weekend. They don't do it every weekend, and it's probably caught the Warriors unawares. It puts them in a precarious position so far as the top 4 is concerned, but I still think their draw's achievable, and they've got it. It's theirs to lose. They're in the top 4, and they've got games in hand to win. So I still think they can make the 4.